Hi guys, we are live. Can you see us or can you hear us clearly? Yeah. Okay. Who's who's fine?
Yeah,
All right. Hi guys. How are you guys doing today? And welcome to the PhalaWorld Fireside chat. So, Fireside chat today is going to be a really casual, um, you know, just going to be like a recap about the whole PhalaWorld development progress and then also what our future plan is, our next step is. So it's just going to be like a really casual, really relaxing panel. So if you have any questions, feel free to leave your comment on the comment section, and the team can just pick up the question and answer it, and just talk about the topic that you are interested in hearing. All right, so I guess first of all, I really want to thank everyone for coming to this crowdcast, and thank you so much for everyone's support during the past 3 years. I mean, I'm sorry, past year. I'm sorry. I was talking about Phala Network, but so we've had a pretty long way of developing PhalaWorld, and it's been an amazing experience. We got a super active, super awesome community, and then also the team has been working hard. We have team members everywhere in the world. Dan is in the UK, Josh is in the US, and then we also have team members in Asia. We're all working together. We've been working hard to develop everything that you guys can experience now. So I guess first of all, I just want Marvin, who initially started this project. I really want to ask Marvin, what was the initial purpose, or how did you come up with PhalaWorld?
okay. Thank you, Jojo. And hi, everyone. Good morning, good evening. So, this is Marvin from Phala Network. I'm in Singapore at the moment. Yeah, so the very beginning, the idea of Phala World is coming from the situation that we think our community is not uh, so engagement, as the most pump crypto projects. So we've been thinking about what's happening and what can we do to solve that problem. Um, and by then, like NFT projects and metaverse projects begin to get more and more popular. We think there's a huge gap, between traditional or Web3 projects between the NFT ones. Um, the NFT projects are very attractive to general people and younger generation. Like people just love that stuff, and each NFT project also begin to have something we call vibe, in the community, the culture. So it's really attract us that we want to build some healthy but constantly running um, community culture. So how to do that? So we think EMT and metaverse is not our final goal, but more like a tooling we can use to build such good community emotion. So we want to use the technology of NFT, and we want to combine it with the metaverse environment together to help people get interest in Phala and get well education by our boring but complex technology. And And during the whole user experience journey in Phala network, every team member, every community member can find his position in a gamification, presenting. So this is where the original idea coming from, and this is also why we built it. Build a metaverse, build an NFT project, build a gaming is not our goal, but more like a tools, a skill to achieve, to make some achievement, so that our community, everyone who got interested in Phala, can be part of it. So in a very simple words, for example, no matter you're just a token holder or you're developer in our team or you're developer in the ecosystem, or you just want to provide your computation server into the network, everybody in this community can find a position and very well presented magic character in PhalaWorld, and you will feel fine, you will feel interesting. Um, so that's our goal, just to help Phala community getting more engagement and make every boring technology interesting. Uh, have fun with that. So yeah, that's basically it.
Yeah, I see. And also, so there's no such project that, during the development progress, everything goes smoothly, right? Like it just like that just doesn't exist. So there's always gonna be issues, roadblocks, even failures, and like change of strategy. So like I think this question is more for Marvin and Dan. So during the development progress in the last year, what are some significant roadblocks and also shift of strategy that PhalaWorld has experienced?
Okay, I will go first. So roughly speaking, the major block point for us will be um, um, I think the first bubble of metaverse just crashed, and like 6 months ago, everybody is so crazy about metaverse, and everyone is so crazy about NFT as well. But when the bubble is crushed, most of people lose confidence in getting more involved with it. But to us, we think even though with the bubble, there's something really solid there, right? The technology will never go away. The valuable assets and the valuable community won't go away by that. So, for example, a bank, the boring aid, they still survive and they're still very active for their community. So, what I'm trying to say is, even though without um, the the how to say the typical oh, what happened to Jojo? Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is, even though without the typical bubble stuff, but the true value remains and stays there. But for us, the problem is that we used to want to launch deeply in some metaverse in the beginning when we just launched PhalaWorld, right? Why we need a 2D NFT? We don't need that. We just want to build 3D modules and throw people into some very solid metaverse. But the first 5 months, we realize, okay, there is no so-called solid metaverse. We don't have any solid metaverse at all. We used to think we got it. So, for example, decentralized, sandbox, other side, big country, they're pretty good choice, but they're solid, but they are not our how to say just it's just we can't take a 1 year from 5 months ago just to deeply building in any of this metaverse. Let's put it that way. So the trouble is, okay, when the metaverse platform is not getting so mature, how can we, deliver stuff to people? This is why we begin to have the idea about spirit. NFT and the idea about shell NFT. And we know clearly about after we deliver the NFTs, what's the next thing to do. So yeah, so the major block point is kind of there is I mean, we can't find any metaverse 6 months ago which can we just can put 100% our energy into it. So we have to build our system first. Then let's see, because there are some metaverse still developing, and let's see what's happening. And when they're got good enough, we can easily get slot in with the current metaverse. So this is the block point from my major perspective. But I think as the lead product manager for PhalaWorld, I got a lot to say on that.
Thanks, Marvin. Hey, everyone. I'm Dan. Nice to see everyone here today. I'm going to try and answer both the questions that you asked, Jojo, and maybe kick this conversation around to Marvin and Josh a little bit. The biggest challenge is really trying to figure out what we're doing, right? What are we actually trying to solve here? Because there's so many different things we could do. That's the problem when you're building products, and particularly when you're building something that's brand new. So the way I like to talk about PhalaWorld to people is, if you said to someone today, who are the most important people in the Phala network? Who are the biggest contributors? Who are the most important players? Let's use the word players in our ecosystem. It would be quite hard to tell, right? It would be difficult to figure out. There'd be all sorts of little niche communities, and it would be very hard to figure out who was contributing, or maybe where contributions were required, right? Maybe where we wanted more of the community to spend their time and could really create some value. So PhalaWorld for me is the notion that, is there a world just out of reach, just out of sight, that we could maybe visualize, that we could maybe bring to life, which is what's happening on the Phala network. And this is on and off chain. This is about people, right? What are people doing? How are they spending their time? How are they contributing? So how can we visualize that? And then the most interesting thing past that is, how can we then incentivize that? How can we incentivize people to go to the right places, where the ecosystem really needs to be built? It's the community's ecosystem, right? They need to know. And it turns out one of the easiest ways to do that is to use game mechanics, is to use gamification, is to use RPG mechanics. So PhalaWorld is this notion of, can we visualize and incentivize what's actually happening in the ecosystem? And so the development challenges are, how the hell do you do that, right? How do you even begin to try and do that? And as Marvin just began to explain, we want something to belong to you. We want something to be soul bound to you forever. And we could try and chuck something inside a metaverse and create some gimmicky visualization. But what we really want to do is build something for the long term, and build something that actually exposes and makes transparent the contributions of the community. And that's the foundation that we've been building, right? The Spirit NFT is yours forever, and your attributes represent who you are and what you've done. And then we have the shell NFT, which is the visual side, so you can show off what you've contributed. So it's an ongoing problem. The question of, what are the development challenges? It's how do you decide what you build and where do you go? And that's a challenge we're continuing to figure out every day. But our first major foundation is in place, right? We can represent who people are and what they're doing. So that's where we're up to right now. I don't know if you've got any thoughts on that, Josh.
Yeah, the dev team has been working endlessly, nonstop.
Oh yeah. It's definitely been a lot of work. It's a lot of learning for sure. And yeah, I definitely agree with Dan and Marvin on all the all the information they've just provided. Yeah, just kind of being from I guess the dev perspective, it is pretty interesting because I remember right before we released the Soulbound NFT, I hadn't like fully comprehended kind of like what we were building. So I think this was just a little bit back, but once I had like a sit down talk with Marvin in Austin, whenever we went to consensus, it kind of all started kind of making sense to me, kind of what we're building, because we have like different devs on the team that are building different aspects of the product. So it's just really interesting, just like especially like the my crypto profile integration, where you're able to aggregate data in from like your Web2 and Web3 accounts, and then sort of really create a true identity that's that can go with you anywhere. It's been like really interesting seeing how this all plays out.
The fascinating thing about what Josh is saying is that the technology starts to move into the background, right? So the NFTs are no longer the most significant part. It's about what we can do with the NFTs, and they're just this on-chain data store. They're an ability for us to write some custom data on-chain and then actually trade it around. So you don't get necessarily thrown in with all these NFT projects anymore, or we shouldn't be, right? We're actually doing something quite custom, quite unique on top. And maybe that's what Josh is referring to at first. It's like, oh, it's just an NFT project. And then it becomes pretty obvious very quickly that that's not it.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Let's see. Oh, did y'all see the question in the chat about multiple DIDs? I think that's
possible. Would it be possible to change DID provider in the future? I feel people don't want to have multiple DIDs just because your preferred solution isn't integrated. Any thoughts?
From my thoughts is, yeah, we should be able to integrate with multiple DID providers in the future. Obviously, that integration would take time, and then also finding the right partners to be able to say that they're going to be providing something unique or that can actually extend. And I think it also goes into the point of just like building out a stack in general that will go into like being able to like fork what we've built in the future and be able to like change different parts of the stack. So I think this is definitely something that we are looking into, and it's also like sort of the idea of CipherMod in the future. So this, I don't know if we want to go down that.
Yeah, that's a whole other conversation. I think just to answer the question from a kind of a product point of view, we get a lot of questions. Can you do X? Should you do Y, etc.? And in general, we have to test something out, right? So we wanted to explore this decentralized identity provider, see how it worked, see the challenges we faced. We've definitely learned a lot by working with this provider, how we'd like to do it in the future. So, I mean, decentralized identity, by definition, we don't really want to rely on one provider, just by definition. So yeah, it's something we'll certainly look at. But it goes back to my original point of what do we build next? What's our priority? What does the community need? And we've got a huge slate of features that we want to bring. So any question like that is, we'd like to, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, definitely. I'm seeing two other questions about the Shell and Spirit NFTs, and also, I guess, the future plan. So we're definitely going to cover that in the next session. In the next section where we talk about the future plan of PhalaWorld. So yeah, there's I actually threw out one question. I was asking, what do you like the best about PhalaWorld? And Amit answered, the NFTs are designed with Soulbound 2.0. So this is the part he liked the best. And also Dark Bakerock, sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. He said, I like the community and the project design. I'm curious to see the rest, and in particular, the incubation phase. And yes, incubation will happen very soon. So we're all looking forward to that. So, talking about, like speaking of this, Mint just started not too long ago and it's still going on. So, for those people that maybe are not super familiar with the process, so right now the Shell NFT public mint pre-order is still going on. So if you still don't have your Shell, you can still you can still order it. So speaking of the Shell NFT mint stage, just like looking back at at the beginning of it, what are some thoughts? Like I want to hear some thoughts from you guys. What are the hardest thing about the whole program, about the whole process, and also, is there any anecdote that we can share to the community?
Yeah, I mean, I'll jump in first on this. The hardest thing to do is release something, right? As soon as plans meet reality, things start to go wrong. That's just true for any team, any project. So, but yeah, overall, it's gone pretty smoothly. We've, of course, had some bumps, but pretty proud of the team and what they've put out. Anecdotes, yeah, probably not many I can share directly on here, but it's been a lot of fun. And we've learned a lot of lessons. Certainly, for our next release, the team will be a lot more ready for these sorts of things. So yeah, overall, from my perspective, it's been good and enjoying it. So, what about you guys? Any thoughts?
Well, I mean, the the I see there is one thing we're not doing so well on during the last past couple of months is expectation management. So, for example, we set up the mint, I'll say total amount into 8,000. So people will think, okay, we need to mint out 8,000 NFT, otherwise it will be a failure, kind of failure project. But that's actually not true to me, because the only reason why we set up that number is because it's just we need to have a limit in the system. And we think, okay, most of the NFT projects have 8,000 NFT, so let's set that number. But that, like, we after that we realized, okay, this is sending out the wrong message to the community about expectation control. So in our original expectation, we think we did a lot of research on the Polkadot NFT, um, market and community. We think, okay, the best expectation on the total amount, the total supply of PhalaWorld shell is around, from 1K, maybe 800 to 1.5K. So if we are doing our best job on it. So if you check out, let's say, Canaria, if you check out, the owner drives for other NFT collections, this is roughly the best guys performance. So, yeah, because we pre-set up the 8,000 total amount, so people have a different expectation gap, and I think we can do better on this job for the next time. Yeah. So this is one of the trouble. The second one is actually you can only buy one shell NFT with one spirit, right? You have to claim a spirit NFT first, and before you can claim the NFT, you have to bond it with MCPDID, and before you bond it with MCPDID, you have to have Phala token. So it's like we are one of the most complex or most hard project that you can get and you can get a whitelist to purchase one. So we are just positively add up more troubles when people trying to get it. So, but everything is meaningful. due to respect, I think it makes sense to limit it. That people have to bond it with MCP or bond it with some BID, so that you can have a presentation about all your progression on Phala network in a gamification, type of story background, to show your character, on-chain character, and it makes sense on that. And it also makes sense that the spirit entity is free to claim and untransferable, untradable, so that people won't trade their credits. This credit profile will be permanently to present your score on the network, and in the future, the long time future, I can imagine 1,000 ways how either a Phala team or other gaming team, or just triple A level gaming team, to use that gaming profile or on-chain credits to build something. I can see that coming, so it also makes sense. But when you combine them together, yeah, so people feel a little bit tricky and hard to get a purchase one. But from my perspective, I think it's meaningful. After all, our original purpose is not to sell more. It doesn't make sense. We promise that we will keep the funds treasury and to figure out what's the best way to use it to improvement PhalaWorld. But so there is no financial motivation for us to purchase the huge amount of NFT holding. But I think the major focus is on how we can get people more engagement in the community, how we can make people just feel interesting, feel fun. That's the challenge in the future. Yeah, so to me, I think we are kind of keeping the balance between what we want and what people is expecting. And I think we can do a better job in next time. But we are not regret on many design and set up the rules. So this is my answer on that.
Nice. Yeah. I guess so. I have a pretty decent anecdote from like a dev perspective in the back end. This is the first project to use Remark NFT standard as a palette and being able to integrate it into your runtime and create this equipable logic essentially to be able to make these modular NFT Legos with the Remark standard. And that is it's pretty hard to do. And I guess the anecdote for me is that it's interesting building something for the first time like that no other protocol can do, but it also comes with a caveat of now you have to also figure out some problems that you're not going to be able to find any answers for. So I think that is definitely something that I've learned throughout this process is the one, like, this is hard to do, but also there's a great community of developers in this ecosystem that are willing to help and willing to answer questions and willing to sit down and go through a process, write it out with you, and really get you, like, the Remark team did a really great job, like, explaining what their technology does and how we should utilize their NFT infrastructure. So this has been a lot of fun learning and just diving deep into the code and figuring out how we can utilize these new standards to create like a better experience for the users with NFTs. Because today most NFTs are static. They're just a profile picture. They're usually coming in some sort of template that's just a bunch of assets and it's auto-generated. But for us, we wanted to really take it to the next level, but also, make it more of like a reward for participating on Phala. And I think it's all the hard work in general is like it's a lot of fun and it's definitely worth it.
Yeah, thank you guys for the transparency. I mean, definitely there were a lot of, I would say, unexpected things that happened. Either before the shell NFT begins or during the shell NFT minting process. But I think the whole team reacted super fast, and we all worked together, to make this thing better. So speaking of what Marvin mentioned before, he kind of mentioned about gaming and stuff in the future. So I think a lot of people that have participated in PhalaWorld, they are super curious about the next step. So now, they purchased a shell NFT. They're going to enter the incubation process. So what's next? I guess this, like any team member can answer this. So like, what is our next step? What should people be expecting?
I'll jump in and answer this question. Okay, so we wanted to do something really interesting and fun with. We didn't just want to sell an NFT, right? We wanted to have a social game mechanic. Okay, so we've got the mint period with the different rarities, which everyone's experienced now. Then there'll be a short gap, and then we'll have incubation. And incubation is you've technically purchased an origin shell. Okay, so we'd have to crack open Marvin's head here to get the full depth of the lore. But we're surviving a dystopian future. We've got an entire narrative and backstory behind this. So there's a nuclear war and Holocaust, and things aren't great. Okay, that's the TLDR. And you've woken back up, and you're a survivor. Okay, that's why we call you survivors. And you're a little, depending on what species, what race you've chosen, you're a small test tube, or you're a small data box, or whatever you might be. And through incubation, you've got to work with everyone else, and you've got to become a mature shell. Okay, so you'll get a certain amount of food, and then you can feed your own origin shell, or you can feed other people's origin shells to create energy, right? You eat and you create energy. And once you get energy, you can spend those energy points on items. So this is a full RPG game. You're going to have head, chest, shoulders, pants, all these sorts of things. And you can make decisions on how you want your character to look and how you want it to be equipped. So we've got this really interesting and innovative game mechanic where you'll interact with everyone on chain, etc., and you'll build your character, and then at the end of incubation you'll save your final form, and that'll be your shell NFT. Anyone got any further flavor they want to add? Josh, Marvin?
Yeah, of course. After that, I think after the incubation, a mini game been released, and um, everyone got his own favorite shell outlooking. The next step, I think, will be launch the NFT exchange. So it's very important, right? So that people can trade off their uh, NFT assets, and you will you can also expecting there will be utility NFT coming up in the Phala world as well, which means in Phala network system you got a system which we call delegation. So people can just stake Phala token and supporting the the computer they prefer to the network, so that when developers can get strong computation power backing them. And we are trying to use the power of this technology, to write it into NFT standard and bring the assets, liquidity assets from there into our world as well. So you will be surprisingly see how magic one the original Phala network system integrating into gaming or NFT type of world. So this is the first trial. After the DID stuff, this is another trial how we want to integrate the real world stuff into NFT. So this is a very interesting expectation after the NFT exchange protocol launch. And I think it will take maybe couple months, and what's coming next. I think we haven't had certain news to release now, but I don't think there is any certain metaverse we can begin to work on till now. So the next thing we are thinking about is to trying to either deliver more utility on top of the PhalaWorld shell, or we trying to build some useful or meaningful mini games to increase engagement for shell NFTs contribution, holders contribution into our community. So you can expecting on that as well. So I think this is roughly will take another maybe 3 to 6 months. So yeah, I think our team working principle about PhalaWorld is just gather enough inspiration from the community suggestions. So anyone, any NFT holder, just when you come up with some idea, you just shout it in the group. So our team member will, okay, let's talk about it, let's remark it. And we want to get enough inspired from the community and want to move fast when we're building. So we won't wait, let's say one year, or give you a promise. Okay, after 2 years, you will come back to PhalaWorld and see a metaverse. No, our spirit is like we get inspired from the community. We move fast and we deliver fast and function add up functions. So we can constantly just use it, work it, and enjoy it. So yeah, this is my expectation on what's coming up for PhalaWorld.
There's just to pick up on what Marvin said there about post incubation. We've got the marketplace coming, trading and transfer. That links really nicely into what Josh was saying before about the remark standard, right? So you can't trade your Spirit NFT, that's yours forever, it's soulbound, but you can trade the shell NFT, and much more importantly than that, you can trade parts of the shell NFT, right? These shell NFTs are composable, they're nestable. So part of what Josh was talking about that he was working on was that pushing that boundary. So you might have a part of your shell NFT, a part of your items that you want to trade. I don't know if you want to tell us how that works, Josh.
Yeah. So with your different parts that compose your shell, like Dan was saying, you can start to once the final minting of all the shells is executed and everybody gets their shell, they'll have multiple NFTs. So for instance, you'll have your spirit, and then you'll have the different shells that you minted, because on the last day of our NFT sale, you can order an unlimited amount of shells. So you can end up with multiple shells. And then after you go through that incubation phase, you'll end up with a shell, like a base shell NFT, and then a bunch of equipable parts that are nested underneath this NFT. So now you can start to get compatible parts and trade them on a market. So you could unequip one of your parts from your shell, move it out, and then list it on a marketplace. And this is where you can sort of sell some really like rare items, or you can find the exact customized part that you wanted for your shell, but you couldn't get during the incubation phase whenever you're customizing your shell. So this is going to open up a lot of like interesting possibilities for you to really customize your entire experience and have like something that's like more meaningful towards you. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes, because the only one project that I've done it with is with Remarks Canarias, and that was like a lot of fun being able to customize my bird and sort of choose the different parts. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, so I saw a question from the audience. BI asked, so if you were an exchange, you could equip an AR part?
Yeah.
And you said no.
It won't be compatible, yeah. But you could buy it and just have it, but you wouldn't be able to use it.
This is like any RPG game, right? So if you're playing a particular class race, you have items that are specific for that. So it's all of those classic mechanics. And just to pick up on what Josh was saying, we've got quite a clear roadmap now. We've got the mint, we've then got incubation, we've then got the marketplace, which, as Marvin referenced, we're then pushing the boundaries of that in terms of revealing more of what's happening on Phala Network with the delegation to our compute layer. And then past that, we're open to ideas, right? We want to visualize what's happening on the network. So we don't know what that looks like, right? We don't have a 2-year roadmap, as Marvin said. We want to figure it out as we go, and in a couple of months, I'm sure we'll have a lot more ideas.
Yeah, I also was thinking that if you wanted to, you could just stock up on parts and just be a parts dealer if you wanted.
I mean, in an RPG game, someone would fill that role, right? Someone would play that role. You can play whatever role you want.
Yeah, exactly. And Mikru, he asked, approximately when will we able to actually see the PhalaWorld?
So that's a meta question, right? What is PhalaWorld? You can see it right now in the sense that we've got thousands of spirits, we've got 1,000 people minting their shells. So it depends what PhalaWorld is to you. So you can see it right now. In a meta, if you mean in a literal metaverse sense, as Marvin referenced before, we don't know. We don't know exactly what that looks like. We don't know what metaverse maybe we're going to be in, if we're in any. But you can see it right now in terms of the visualization we've created.
Phala is dead world. That's what Dustin said. So I'm seeing another question. I think this is from Darbekaraj. I'm sorry, if I pronounce your name wrong again. So he asked, during the shell mint, it is advisable to choose the career according to our attributes, but then that limits our choices. Does this imply that we will be penalized over time if we have not chosen the recommended career? Will it be possible to evolve attributes that are not the strength of the shell?
So your attributes are defined by your on and off chain behavior, right? Those are the things that you do. The career is flavor on top. So you're not restricted. You're not forced to choose anything. It's totally up to you. And that just allows you to represent who you are. So it's a trade-off, right? We just make recommendations and you can pick whatever you like.
Yeah. Just to like piggyback on that, it's say like you are a developer and you got like a low match for the hacker wizard, but that doesn't mean like you're not compatible with that career. And I think like the most interesting part about this project is you can go out there and start trying to understand our code and start contributing to our Phala network repo. And this is how you can directly just influence and become what you want to be like part of your career on PhalaWorld. So like for me, maybe I just wanted to be a trade negotiator, and I'm just going to start, moving my coins for Phala across different exchanges in the ecosystem, or start staking behind different mining pools. So yeah, it's really influenced by you, and you really control your own career path. So it shouldn't be anything to.
This is the core of a role-playing game, right? This is the core mechanic. What do you want to be? What role do you want to play? So instead of playing in some fictional universe, what role do you want to play on the Phala network? And that will be visualized through PhalaWorld. Do you want to be a hacker? You can go and change those attributes. Your attributes are defined literally by what you do on and off chain. And as Josh said, you can just look at the code base, right? You can, of course, we'll explain it for you. We'll create documentation, but there's nothing stopping you if you're an engineer going and looking at every single commit that Josh makes.
Yeah. So I think someone is still a little bit confused. Mizan Ashi asked, sorry, so you can mint shells of different races, but you cannot use any functionalities for AY secondary
he,
shells?
I
I'm
think
not
he
sure.
means any secondary shells.
Yeah.
You can have multiple shells. Go on.
Yeah, there's a maybe you can add some more context to this, Josh. But there's a limitation right now whereby you have one shell per spirit, right? That limitation is removed on Sunday at 8 p.m. Singapore time. One account can purchase, if they so choose, multiple shells, and the same mechanics apply. You'll be able to incubate that shell, and you'll be able to buy items on that shell. So it's pretty straightforward, really. I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Josh. You're muted, buddy. You're muted, buddy. Still muted.
You're still okay.
I agree, and yeah, just like Jen said, you'll have the chance to be able to mint more. Pre-order more origin shells whenever the last day of the sale is enacted. So you have a chance to choose different options, and you don't have to be adhered just to one race and career combo.
Okay, I'm seeing two other questions that are more related to the future PhalaWorld. So Nenda, he asked, will PhalaWorld get its own app, or do we have to connect using a browser?
Everything is browser based right now. Same answer to every will you build feature X question. Potentially we'd love to, but obviously the team has it doesn't have an infinite amount of bandwidth, so we put it where we think it has most impact. So we might build one day, we don't know, but it's not at the top of our list of priorities for sure.
And then also someone asked, I always hope PhalaWorld will be a game like in the way of Cyberpunk 2077, but I see that it's a bit too much to expect. Well,
So
I don't think it's too much to expect. I mean, you never know.
we love the fact that people are thinking that about our project is amazing. I don't want to provide spoilers to anyone, but we don't have the resources of a AAA game studio right now. That might change, but the vision, the artwork, the lore, and the mechanics that we're creating could certainly lead in that direction. But the most important thing for us, we don't just want to build a fictional world where you run around, right? What we're really interested in is what people are doing in the real world and visualizing that. So our priority is not to build a game per se. Our priority is to visualize what's happening on and around the Phala network, on and off chain, and then incentivize that. So that's our primary mission, our primary goal. People don't do anything unless they care about it, right? You need to care about something, and to care about something, you need to be able to see it. You need to be able to understand what's happening. So we want people to be able to see what's happening, and they'll start caring about it. Cyberpunk 2077 might come later on. You never know.
Yep, you never know. I'm seeing this question. I think maybe Marvin can answer this. What's the exact relation of PhalaWorld with Big Country? Is PhalaWorld also going to have its own land sale?
Well, that's a good question. So to prepare, like when the time comes by, like a couple months ago, we think Big Country is one of our best choice to set up the metaverse. To set up PhalaWorld mini game inside some metaverse. I think Big Country is one of the best choice. So we've been keep preparing for that for two perspectives. The first one is we need to get deeply involved with the economic. We need to learn, like how Big Country work, what's the capability we can do in Big Country, how the land, stuff going on there. For example, how we can make sure the PhalaWorld citizens can have a digital space to walk around. Like Dan said, it's not just a walk around. You have to set up certain stuff in here. So the preparing for the economy is the first step. So I think, yeah, Phala purchased big country, metaverse land. So to prepare if in the future we need that to launch Phala World. So we did that. And the second preparation is just to getting more acknowledged with the like the word rules inside that big country, from UI, VI, 3D settlement, and a lot of typical 3D standard and development kind of rules. So I'm talking with Ray and big country team all the time on this, so that we can, just to catch up with big country teams stage and progress. So yeah, we've been preparing for that, but never say never, right? Uh, if everything is going well and we see there's some type point that we can launch and want to launch follower related mini games in the metaverse, we will do it. And in the meanwhile, we will just our team will do all the preparation work until the day comes. So far, I can only say, this that level. Yeah, I can't. Like I mentioned, we do a lot of preparation, but we don't want to over promise to you guys on this because there's too many, let's say, input to reflect the result. But yeah, they are one of our best choice, and we've been preparing for a long time. Let me ask one question, guys. So, for example, we just finished the Shell NFT sale, right? And we can easily set up a land sale in big country for our work. Would that be attractive? So if sorry to answer it for you, but if it's me, like a Phala community member, I will, wait a little bit to see what you guys are building on PhalaWorld, and then I will be more interested in put my money to buy the land. So I mean, if I am you, I will think in this way. So I think now is the time to build more instead of sell more. So for our perspective, we don't need that funds for the for our company, for our team. We are more like we just want to make the best choice to finish our engagement to make the achievement that we want our community to be more engagement. So I don't know, maybe we don't want to oversell to people. So I don't think after Shell NFT sale and just launch another land sale immediately is a good idea due to respect.
Yeah, I think from my point of view, if a project is always selling or always, rush me to buy something, I just feel like it's more toward a scam than actually building. I don't know, that's just how I think. All right, do you guys have any more questions? If you do, you can leave it under the comment section, and also you can also leave your question under the ask a question.
Can I share something? Like I during the time when people just trying to, I want to share something here. Wait a minute. Sorry. So I just want to share. There's some like during the past year, what how come like PhalaWorld from just one idea coming into a real solid project. So just follow me a little bit. Sorry, my default language for the computer is Chinese. So you will see some Chinese words, but don't worry about it. I will explain it very well. Before everything even, this is better. Uh, yeah. So so in the very beginning, when we came up with the idea for PhalaWorld, the first thing I do is talking with our lead designer, and we begin to picture how it would look like if we gamification or virtualize the people, the crypto addresses on Phala network. So we just will have some roughly draft on that. So this is the first version, like how PhalaWorld looks like, and this is the first draft. So and we even did some mock-up, like what kind of the characters will look if you want to make it more interesting. And after this stage, we begin to take more serious in the what's behind the PhalaWorld outlooking. Because all of the AMT projects have a very good design concept into it, but we just want to dig a little bit more than that. So I came up with this idea, like, okay, shall we just trying to use the storytelling to describe to us, 5 years old child about what's happening on Web2 and what's happening on the AI technology revolution, and what's the meaning of Web3. Just imagine if you're trying to explain all of that to your baby like 3 years ago. It's 3 years old or it's 4 years old. It will be extremely hard. So you need to see as a story view. You are trying to be a fiction writer instead of a technical pitch guy. So we begin to trying to do that a lot, and like it's very similar how you created a Hollywood movie or just animation. We write up some things to explain the story. So it's like there are many stuff like that. Let me pick some ones to explain. So yeah, so in the beginning we can imagine, as the Web2 technology evolved, the big companies like Facebook, like TikTok, like Google, their machine learning will evolving a lot, which they did this year, right? So after some while, there will be acknowledged AI coming out, and they begin to connect with each other because they belong to different companies. And after that, in some time point, they will try to manipulate how human being leaders, like the presidents, the pope, the queens. Sorry, rest in peace. Yeah, the kings. Sorry. Yeah. So they will trying to manipulate the human being leaders and the populace behind. So this is the story of the AI space. But after that, where there is such thing, there will be also a fight. So the war begins between human being and AI. And during that time, people realize, okay, there's a true meaningful a solution which is coming out by a AI leader, but this AI character begin to be very, very like act like a god, or act like a great human being. So he began to think not only for his species, which is AI, but also for all species, include Pandroid, Exchange, and Cyborg. and AI. So he began to trying to figure out what's the solution. And from the Web3 white papers, include Bitcoin, Ethereum, Phala, Phala, he think, okay, this is the way out. So after that, we come into a peace stage. And of course, by the war coming up and the hatred between different species increase a lot. So the master I just mentioned begin to work on his strategy into the world, and this is where we come from, and this is why we call awakers. So for Shell NFT. So after, so as you can see, we even read up, we draw up many story screenshots to prepare for this simple Shell NFT story. So just trying to show a little bit about the second stage we made for PhalaWorld like 6 months ago. And after the story is fixed, although we haven't fully represent the whole picture of the story in every website pages, but we got it. So we know when we design something, when we trying to present something, we know what to say, what's the right word on that, and we know every story behind each speech and each character. So you can see we after that we can easily to figure out, okay, what's the career, what's the different career looks like, and what's the different species looks like, and why, and what was the reason behind it. It's all clear book to us. And of course, we also did a lot of job on different stuff. For example, we designed every logo and icon for each species. This is one for AI, and this is one for cyber. It's not like a one-day job, guys. It takes really couple months for us from there, from zero to here. So I just want to share some progression and the story behind what you see.
Yeah, really a round of applause to our design team too. They've been working like literally nonstop for all these beautiful shell NFTs, Spirit NFTs, and also the websites and everything, the visuals. They've been working on this since day one. So they're not here, but appreciate everything they've done. Okay, guys, do we have any more questions? If not, I'm going to share my screen for you guys. There's going to be a QR code. You can open your camera and scan it, and then it'll lead you to a Google form. And then you can just fill in your Polkadot.js or Phala website, Phala address, and then we will airdrop you the pop from this Crowdcast. It'll be on your Singular. Okay. Here. Are you guys able to see it? Okay, let me know if there is any problem opening this QR code. Yeah, so during this time, I'm going to just, again, thank you everyone for joining us today. And also a reminder is the last day of sale, on the last day of sale, the 14th, we are going to open one address to mint different shells, to purchase different shells. So if you would like to purchase more, you can definitely do that on that day. Yeah, I'm going to end this crowdcast with, I think there's like a comment from Crypto Hustler 101 in the beginning of this crowdcast. He said, "No dinero, who's the hero? CZ faked out FTX down to 0." It's part of last night's chat. So just something fun to share with you guys. And yeah, it's like last week. I mean, this week has been seriously crazy. But again, I think everyone would appreciate, Phala Network and PhalaWorld's transparency. And I think this is a good time for everyone to see that we are actually building something, and we're being transparent to, everyone in the community. So again, if you have any questions, you can always join us on Discord to ask. Our moderators and team members will always be happy to help you out. All right. So I think for Dan, Marvin, and Josh, if you guys want to leave the meeting, you guys can. I'm just going to stay here for a while to show everyone the QR code.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Aaron. So I see a lot of people asking how to use this QR code. This QR code is, if you open up your camera on iPhone or Android phones, scan it, it will naturally pop up a form. And by filling out the form into your Phala address, we will know who attend into this meeting, and we know you've been here, so we will send up a pull-up AMT to prove you've been there, and that kind of pull-up will be part of the PhalaWorld system. So yeah.
Do you want to pop too, Dan?
I just thought I'd demonstrate, you know.
All right, and also don't forget to join Swanky Sweet AMA with Josh in 2 hours. Yep, Josh will be on the AMA in 2 hours.
Yeah, with Dustin.
Continue talking to him on the AMA.
Easy weekend. Yeah.
All right, have a good weekend, guys.
Thank you, everyone here. See you. Bye.
Thanks,
Bye.
guys.
Later.
See you again next time.
Good day.
Bye.
Peace.
All right, guys, if you have not figured out how to use the QR code, or if you face any problems, you can just leave it on the comment section, and I will answer it for you guys. I'm going to leave this page here for a couple more minutes so that everyone can get access to it. All right, guys, if you still haven't finished it, don't worry. I will send out an email to everyone that registered for the Crowdcast with this QR code too. And the pod will be airdropped to your Singular. All right, guys, have a good weekend and see you next time.